everyone. Welcome back. You are listening to Corks and Confessions, where we pour a glass of wine and we also pour out our hearts. I am one of your hosts. My name is Jeanette.
My name is Phoenix, and we are so excited to have you with us each and every day. Today,
especially,
we are talking about dating show roundups.
Yes, reality love shows.
Do you hear the excitement in her voice? This is the woman. The only reason why I have become obsessed watching these shows is because of you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
You're so welcome for that.
Yes, I very much thank you.
I have taken her down with me into the love muck that is reality dating shows.
Big time.
Yeah. Our confessions for today, I've got a really good confession. My confession is I love watching love. I'm obsessed with watching people fall in love.
Yeah, I remember you telling me that the first time you introduced these shows to me. Mm-hmm. And I have come to realize that my confession is I am obsessed with watching human behavior when it comes to love and romance.
Ah, so you're like the analytical person. You're the one who's like, oh, why is she making that decision?
Yes.
Or why is he
obsessed?
Okay.
Why are they thinking that way? What happened to make them feel this way? Why, the whole reaction, mental, emotion process is
fascinating.
Is fascinating to watch.
Nice.
Yes.
Love it. So that's what we're going to be talking about. I'm so excited. If you're a fan of reality TV, you're going to love this. We're going to be talking about Vanderpump Rules and, of course, one of my favorites, The Ultimatum on Netflix. Yay! Okay, wine for today. What are we drinking?
Okay, we are drinking the same.
Chianti.
Italia.
Yes, it's our favorite.
It is one of our favorites.
You know what's crazy? Okay, so I know this is kind of our wine. This is like the wine we drink when we get together and we're chatting and we're having a good time. But how did you find this wine?
I loved it because of the event that happened around the first time I had it. It was in San Francisco.
Okay.
And I'm going to start like romance novel, cold, gloomy,
it was
rainy.
A cold, rainy day.
It really was. It was one of the coldest, rainiest days. And me and my ex were walking around San Francisco trying to find out what we were going to eat.
Oh my gosh, I've had this exact same experience.
Really?
Yes. We were walking around San Fran and it was like, moody, cloudy, rainy, wet. And you just wanted to get in from outside and find something to drink.
Yes.
Fast. Yeah.
Fun story is like they kept us outside because the line was so long to get. It was like the only place that had a line. I mean, everyone wanted to be inside.
Right.
But there was people standing outside of this place. It's called Sotomare.
Okay.
Best food I've ever had. So my ex orders a bottle of wine and it was this one.
Ooh, nice.
So if you're on YouTube watching us, I'm showing you
what a cute little bottle. I bet it was like so romantic too.
It was. And it was like we had pasta and we were outside in the rain. Like the rain was hitting us.
Yeah.
But it was a beautiful night.
And
yeah. So that's how I remember that wine. And I've loved it ever since.
Nice. I love it too now.
Cheers.
Okay. So should we get into it?
Yes.
All right. So first show that we're going to talk about is Vanderpump Rules, right?
Vanderpump Rules.
Yes. So I know a very little about the show. This is not one that I've gotten into necessarily, but I did watch The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills.
Oh.
And isn't that kind of where the show started?
Yes. I don't remember what season it started, like what season the spinoff was.
Right.
But she was or is still on the Beverly. I haven't watched that one.
I actually don't know if she's still on that show either.
Yeah,
but,
I don't know.
What was the lady's name? Do you remember?
Lisa. Her name's Lisa. Lisa Vanderpump.
Lisa Vanderpump has this restaurant, and then this reality show is like basically her employees, right?
Yes, it's her employees. You know what's fun too? I was going to that restaurant before the show and during the show, and I had no idea about
really?
the show. Yeah.
So the cameras and stuff were not there when you were there?
They were not there when I was there. I had no idea until like way later that the show was about that restaurant.
Oh, how fun.
Yeah. Well, it is fun now that I'm obsessed with the show.
How did you get into it?
Obviously, SCANDOVAL has broken the internets lately.
You've been
As
telling
of
me about
March.
this.
I've
Yeah.
been trying to get her to watch it. Why have you not watched
You
it?
know what? I'm probably going to start now.
Season 1? I think you got to start season 1.
I keep thinking maybe I should listen to the tell-all because everyone keeps talking about the tell-all. I've seen it in my feed.
What's the tell-all?
Like the tell-all when like all the stuff came out.
Oh.
About like where they were
in
doing,
March.
Yeah, the talk back.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, watch what happens live. Isn't that what it
was
was on?
Yes.
Like,
yes.
so I was like, maybe I
watched
should start with that. And then go back, kind of like how I watched Game of Thrones. I watched like the very last season of the last episode.
You did not.
I sure did.
Oh, no.
And then I went all the way back at the beginning to figure out what the heck they were talking about.
Oh, shoot. That's hilarious. I'm the opposite. I'm like, I like to start blindly. I don't want to know anything.
You want to know but you heard about SCANDOVAL.
I did. I kind of heard about it. I knew there was like a cheating scandal, but I was hearing about it everywhere. And then I said, I'm just going to start from the beginning.
Okay. So where are you at now? Like what episode, what season?
Finito.
You finished?
I did.
The entire... Literally, I feel like 2 weeks ago you were like, oh, I just started Vanderpump Rules.
I have had it on the background of everything I could possibly do. I've had it just like rolling. Whoops.
It's only cup 1.
Oh my goodness. I'm too excited. I'm sweating. My armpits are sweating talking about this.
So you've already finished everything.
I finished everything.
Okay, so SCANDOVAL is basically... Sandoval.
Tom Sandoval.
Was been with this life partner, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then secretly on the side, he was hooking up with her best friend.
Her best friend.
Oh.
And you know
it makes my skin crawl.
Doesn't it? I think the most fascinating, I don't know, say fascinating, the most like intriguing thing is, so they didn't catch her finding out. They were off season when she found out.
Oh, so the actual scandal happened off camera.
Off camera.
Okay.
But so they picked up cameras like a few days later to interview them, I guess, about the situation that went down
right now. Okay.
But
so producers got a hold of some juicy info, and are like, we need to get some cameras in there and find out what's going on.
I'm pretty sure the life partner, the one that found out, messaged production and was like this.
She was like, let me put him on blast right now. Let me put her on blast.
She found an explicit FaceTime recording of them too on his phone.
What an idiot.
Yeah.
So he was having like sexy time on his like computer on FaceTime?
On his phone.
Oh, on his phone.
Oh. Yeah.
And he did not realize he was recording it, or did he record it?
Oh, no, he recorded it.
On purpose so he could watch it later?
Yes, I'm sure.
What an idiot.
And even in one of the things he said post that, her finding out, he said, this is the kind of thing I would normally delete. Like, what does that even mean?
Because he's an expert
cheater.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He made a mistake, and that's how he got found out.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what's killing me, though. Like, I guess I would be obviously very upset to find out my husband or my life partner was cheating on me. But to find out he was with my best friend,
yep,
I can't
wrap your head.
My mind cannot even attempt to like imagine what kind of feelings, the anger, the hurt, like the fury,
the shock,
the fury. I just would be probably angry out of my mind.
Like, can you imagine watching that video of him doing that, and then your best friend is on the other side?
That's insane. That's insane.
The intriguing part of it was the blow up happened off screen, but you witnessed their friendship while the affair was happening. So you saw the best friend love on Ariana,
right,
which is the partner's name, and also be friends with, like, that whole dynamic in parties.
Oh my gosh. So then I'm sure, okay, so this will be really interesting when I start watching this show, because in the back of my mind, now I know something's going on. So everything's going to have like just a little side eye, like a little side eye when she puts his hand
Mhm.
on his shoulder. It's not really like a hand on the shoulder. It's kind of like, why is she putting his hand on his shoulder?
Stop it.
Oh,
Yeah.
the betrayal.
The betrayal. And no one knows. Like, she came clean about a certain timeline on the show. She's also come clean that he's manipulating the timeline, the storyline. So no one really knows when it actually started.
Nobody knows. And they're not coming clean about it.
They came clean about, so he came clean about something that she took back and was like, he wanted to get the story straight, but I feel bad lying. So this is the story. But there are other people that say it started even before that because people saw them making out at Coachella.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So no one really knows,
So
I
no
don't
one
think.
knows.
Mhm.
That's devastating for her.
Mhm.
Okay, so first of all, you know, it's got to be tough to be in the public. Like, your whole relationship is out
In
there.
the public, yeah.
It's out there. Everyone knows the highs and the lows. They know what you're struggling with. They know when you're happy. But then to have this kind of like betrayal out there for the world. Here we are talking about this poor woman and what she's going through. I feel for her. It's got to be painful.
Oh my God, I cannot imagine. But you know what I am proud of? You know the song by Shakira, because you know Shakira was cheated on and did a whole album, a revenge album. And
oh my gosh, revenge music is to die for.
Is to die for.
Yeah.
She basically says that women don't cry anymore, we get paid. So
Hell yeah.
the partner now has been getting endorsements from everywhere.
Everybody.
She is blowing up. And
Good.
she's taking it all, and I love that for her.
She's breaking, you know, she's got a broken heart, but she ain't got a broke bank account.
Nope. She's moving on. She's like, I'm going to buy a bigger house.
Right?
Yeah.
Without you in it.
That's right.
I keep going back to like losing my life partner, but also losing my best friend, because the one person you want to run to when you find out that your partner's cheating is your best friend.
Yeah.
And you can't run to her.
Yeah.
You can't. She's like completely broken that sisterhood trust,
It's,
you know?
It's a grief on such a profound level because she's still living and you have lost an entire person in history. So like the history is all erased to you.
Yeah. Is it erased or is it just tainted? Because it's like you still have that history.
But I feel like when it's not real, it's erased. Like there was no history there because like I don't know what part to trust.
What was real and what isn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you're supposedly like this was really hard for me to watch or listen to because her dog passed. Her dog passed and, you know, Chewy for me. And she took her flowers the next day, which was a next day after the weekend she was already sleeping with her man. You know, you got to watch it. And you
it
have
just sounds so icky. It's like, how are you on one hand comforting your friend when they're going through such a tough time? Like loss of any kind is terrible to go through, and you need that support system. But then your support system is also stabbing you behind the back.
In the worst way.
In the worst way.
Yeah.
Man, that's crazy. All right, so tell me more. What else is going on?
What really sticks out in my mind is like what I really want to have conversations with you about.
Okay.
Because clearly we know Sandoval is slime.
Yeah.
And we actually see that from season 1. And I really want your thoughts. Yes. Yeah. He's very self-involved. His self-interest is just first and foremost, right? He will do everything to just defend his side, his person, his actions, everything. Yeah. But to me, the real villain is Schwartz.
Ooh, okay. Tell me about Schwartz.
I have a deep guttural response when it comes to gaslighting and manipulation and someone that just won't take accountability.
For their actions or their words, okay.
For their actions or their words or just life in general and completely belittles the person that he's talking to. And he does that whether it's his then partner, wife, or friends. He will completely just not listen and belittles. She's like, it's okay, just come sit down, calm down, it's okay, just to make himself do whatever he wants.
I hate when people make you seem like the crazy one for having feelings.
That's exactly.
Everyone's allowed to have feelings.
Over and over and over with friends and his partner. And like his partner would call him out so eloquently and specifically, but she still stayed because I think he's obviously, maybe he's charming in person, maybe he's goofy, and like it comes off as friendly, but I just think those types of people are the real danger.
I'm sure his partner never felt validated in her emotions, right? She never felt like she was completely being understood, but because he's so affable, it sounds like, and I haven't watched the show yet, so this is just based on like the little bit of information that I'm getting. Because he's so affable and well-liked, and he's so good at using his words, and because he's become a master at it, I'm sure she keeps coming back, if that makes sense.
Because he'll be like, I love you, like, come here, and he'll cuddle her and like, I love you, while he's completely devaluing her thoughts, her words, her emotions, everything.
Aww.
It's sickening.
So here's a question. Do you think, because we're only seeing like 25% of their life, I mean, they're not recorded, they might be recorded 24/7. I don't know exactly how reality show works, but it feels like they have set times that they come in, they record, and you're only really seeing like 25% of what's actually happening in their life. Do you think Schwartz, is that how to say his name?
Schwartz.
Schwartz. Damn it, do you think Schwartz has to be made into a villain right now to make the show more interesting? Because regular people's lives are just really not that interesting every day. Do you think this is a situation where he's like, okay, I'm going to be the bad guy. I'm going to be the guy that does this, and off camera, he's just not that guy?
No. He has been that way. He has made my throat close since the first season.
What do you mean your throat close?
As in, like, what I was telling you, like the way he treats other people, the gaslighting, the manipulation.
You're actually watching and having a physical reaction to how he is treating his partner.
Yes. And friends.
And his friends. Oh, he does it to his friends too?
Except for Sandoval. They seem to have a very toxic best friendship. Like, you also see Sandoval, they defend each other in such a toxic way.
Wow. So what was his argument? Like, what was his defense? Seriously, I'd love to hear.
In the SCANDOVAL?
Oh, in the SCANDOVAL, what was Schwartz saying?
So people were outraged because he tweeted that Sandoval was having a hard time with all this and he just needs a hug. So
should have thought about that when he was
should have thought about it,
hooking up with his partner's best friend.
But I think he's also being really careful because they have 2 restaurants now
together.
They have 2 restaurants together that people are bashing.
Like, don't go there because of what happened.
Yes, like Yelp has even put an alert on their restaurant saying, like, if you have actually been here and have something productive to say, we'll review your comment, because people are just like, Team Ariana, like, you suck. Yeah.
See, I have a hard time with that. I don't agree with his behavior. However, I don't know if it's entirely fair to like bring down someone's business unless you have legitimate concerns about like the food, because he is running a business that has a lot of people who are going to be affected by that. So that I do have a bit of a hard time. Like, it's not fair for, old Joe in the back who's just, washing dishes to lose his job because of something his boss did.
That is true. And part of their Instagram apologies were saying that, like, it's not just them. There's a lot of people that rely on that business.
I'm sure the employees have kids that they're trying to like put through school or, make their rent. So that would be really tough.
The one thing that I will say right now about Ariana is I look at this in my own life, and I don't know if you do as well, but I've learned about this, and Oprah talks about it a lot on her Super Soul Conversations podcast, is about tiny pebbles hitting you in the face as you're going through life
Right.
Like you get a little pebble, then you get a bigger pebble, then you get a bigger pebble, and all of a sudden, if you don't listen, if you don't take actions, then a boulder comes and runs over you.
So when you were watching the show because you knew what the boulder was.
Yes,
like,
I did.
I know what the boulder is.
Yes.
I know what's coming,
Mm-hmm.
specifically about these two characters or these two individuals. They're not really characters. Sometimes we forget that these are real people.
Yes.
These are their real lives.
Yes.
So you knew what the boulder was. And did you see the pebbles as you were watching? Am I going to find the pebbles that were hitting her in the face?
You know, I felt like I did. When I was in my early 20s, there were so many pebbles that I dismissed. I don't know if I would watch it real time, if I would have caught the pebbles. Now I do. Now I did. Even knowing the boulder, I feel like I did see the pebbles, but I feel like that's because I've had experience.
Right. I wonder too if when you're talking about pebbles, I also think it might be that gut intuition that we have.
Yeah.
Like listening more to like what's happening on the inside and not ignoring that sixth sense that we have. And we all have it. You know exactly what I'm talking about. It's like you knew something was going to happen before it happened. We've all been there.
Did, yeah.
You know, I believe that we all have that sort of intuition. It's whether or not you really are listening to that intuition. So I am so excited now to start Vanderpump Rules.
I'm
Season 1.
Excited.
Episode 1. I'm going to be looking for pebbles, baby.
Look for all the pebbles and we can discuss them because your pebbles might be different than mine.
That's very true.
Are you new to Corks and Confessions podcast? We'd love to hear from you. Send us a DM on our Instagram or TikTok pages at Corks and Confessions. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button to be notified when new episodes drop.
We're going to talk about one of my favorites, The Ultimatum on Netflix. I freaking love, can I just talk about how much I love this show? It's different because, you know, my confession was I love watching love, right?
Yes.
And your confession was
Human behavior.
and this show literally is like all of those things
So true.
combined. You're watching people who are already in love tell their partner, we either get married or we split up, baby. And so you are from the get-go rooting for these couples to like make it down the aisle, to make it work. And then on top of that, they're in these like pseudo marriages for a couple weeks with some stranger who might also be a perfect match for them.
That is wild.
Your mind was probably like bing bong bing 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 bong bing 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 with all the human behavior and watching it. And so I just I love this show. I really do.
So what is it about ultimatums, like this show in particular, that you're rooting for them? Because I feel like you just surprised me with that, like you're rooting for them to walk down the aisle.
I am.
I don't feel like I felt that way.
Really?
But I think only because I'm watching their behavior, right? That's not my end goal, is to see love.
Baby, when I tell you that I am rooting for everybody, I'm like,
So
maybe, just maybe they might make it, because I just love I like happy endings. I like to see people work things out. And I do believe there are some relationships that aren't ever going to work. I recognize that. It doesn't stop me from hoping and wishing, because I am a romantic. I'm romantic. I am a glass half full person. I've always been that my whole life. I can't help it. I'm a cheerful, happy mother ducker. And I like to see people work out. And I realize there are some relationships people should not be together, but I still wish and hope that they'll get their ish together and make it down the aisle.
This is why we're such good friends, because you are like rooting for people and I'm like, you have to think about this and you have to think about that and what happened and what do you feel?
What
and
do
I'm
they
like,
really mean by that?
yeah, I'm like, wait, pause, caution.
Caution, do not proceed
Do
forward.
not
I'm like,
proceed.
go forward, baby.
Yeah.
See what happens.
So
see if
can-
it'll work out.
Now I don't know if I can trust you right now. I'm having internal thoughts.
It's not always like that. Okay, so let's just talk about, do ultimatums work? In general, this show was, I thought, very edgy, and the whole fact that there are people brave enough who are in these committed relationships to come forward and say like, hey, if you don't do this, I am walking. That is a brave thing to do. Do you agree or no?
I have very mixed feelings about that.
Okay, do tell.
I just don't feel like if this is the person you want to be with forever, I just don't feel like you should have to. I feel like it should be equal.
So you think that the other person should want to be married to you as much or more than the other person?
Yes,
And I love that idea.
yeah.
I just think that people travel this world at different paces.
That's true.
And after a certain amount of time, you have to proclaim what you want in a way that is clear and concise. And I still can't believe people went on a show and did that.
Yeah.
Because I feel like ultimatums happen all the time with tons of relationships throughout the world in different ways. Like, we're going to have a baby, or we're going to start planning a family now, or I'm out. We're going to get married, or I'm out. There's just so many different kinds of ultimatums out there. I
That's
just think
interesting.
it's just so brave of them to be like, I'm just going to put it out there and let people watch what happens. I'm here for it. I loved watching the show. I commend everybody that went on the show and was brave enough to do it. Because one of the things I couldn't handle is watching my partner be with somebody else. I wouldn't be able to put myself through that.
I don't think I could either, honestly. I don't even care if it's a situationship. Like, I don't think I could watch anyone that I'm romantically in love with in front of my face be with somebody else.
Absolutely not.
Live with them, potentially be intimate physically. Can you? No.
Heck no. I might lay down an ultimatum, but I am not for sure going to be like, go ahead and be in this fake marriage so you can find out how good I am. Like, you either know how good I am or you don't.
Yeah.
Pretty much. That's how I feel. But
Yeah.
I just found them so freaking brave. Absolutely. So, okay, so there's 2 seasons of The Ultimatum on Netflix. I have watched both. Have you?
I have. I did watch both, thanks to you.
Okay. You're welcome. Do you have a season that you preferred more than the other?
Holy mother of God, I love the queer.
Season 2.
Yes, season 2. Queer
Season
Ultimatum.
Queer Ultimatum. So here for it. I thought season 1 was really interesting. I thought everybody on there, I was, like I said, I was always rooting for everybody. But season 2 got me. It got my heart. I got invested right away with every single person. I thought every single cast member was so authentic.
Authentic and interesting as heck.
Interesting, authentic human beings who knew what was up, saw season 1, saw how it worked, how it could work out or it could not work out. And they were brave enough to be like, all right, sign me up. Let's do this.
I totally felt like they had no, how do you say, like, vision of cameras being in their face. I feel like they were just like living with the cameras and they just did not really care about the cameras.
Yeah. I felt, actually, now that you point that out, I don't think it's something I clocked until you mentioned it. But I would say that in season 1, having the camera crew was definitely a part of the experience. Whereas in this season, in season 2, it was like,
they just let it out.
And part of me wonders if it's because they had to go through a process to know themselves already, being queer and being out in the world. And not every person on the cast was necessarily out to their family. But there's a lot I'm sure people have to go through to figure out who they are.
Being queer.
Yeah.
That's so true.
An openness to realize who they are, that maybe the cameras being there is like less raw than actually being your authentic self in the real world.
Yeah, that's so true. Like, they've already been through the process. They've already laid their heart, their vulnerabilities, they're like who they are, that the cameras are like not important.
Yeah.
That makes so much sense.
Right? Totally good point. Love that you pointed that out. Wow. One of the things I really noticed about season 2 of The Ultimatum was the amount of conversations, like the level of emotional maturity was fascinating. I've never been in a relationship with someone of the same sex. I've only ever dated men.
Same.
And I kept thinking to myself, what a different kind of way to date if I was dating a woman.
Yeah. I kind of loved it.
It was fascinating and so interesting, and they were just not afraid to like delve into deep, heavy conversations about love and life from like episode 1.
With one exception.
Well, there was a couple people that were not quite there, but
A couple? Really? Only one stands out, but we'll get to that.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I had like 2 people that were like,
really?
Yeah, I had like
Oh,
2
I'm
people. Who,
curious.
yeah, but from the get-go, I was surprised with how many of the cast members were like ready to talk
That
about
is
their
so
feelings.
true. Yes, that really...
Maybe 2 or 3 actually. No,
Really?
There might
Okay,
be
I
3
can't wait
people,
to
yeah.
hear. But yes, the level of maturity and conversations and like really digging in deep and eloquently stating where you're coming from and what your emotions are, what you expect was
Yeah.
on another level I've never seen before. Mhm.
Totally on another level.
Mhm.
So it got me thinking about why was it so different between season 1, which was, you know, heteronormative relationships, male and female, versus the queer relationships. And I will say that, like, I think most of the cast either identified as female or as a they them.
Mhm.
And I found this study online,
Oh,
which I'm going to
tell me.
share with
Tell
you right
us.
now.
Yes.
And I'm going to read it because I don't want to mess it up.
Yes. And I have not heard
Yes.
this yet.
There was a study done in the UK in 2011 that found men don't emotionally mature until 43, and that women are emotionally mature around 32. That's a big difference.
Yes, that's a huge
What do you think
difference.
about that?
I think it's absolutely true.
100% agree.
100% agree. 43, yes.
Why?
I mean,
why do
maybe
you think that?
Oh, man. Maybe it has to do with the way, I mean, obviously it has to do with like a masculine men way are raised, you know.
Here in the US and or in general, like all over the world?
Oh, man. I would have to say all over the world because there is such a stigma on being masculine and not really paying attention to your emotions and not eloquently like talking about them and them being, you know, in the workforce and not having to deal with family life.
Yeah. I keep thinking of this phrase like man up, you know.
Yeah,
Like I don't
like
even know
it.
what that like I don't know what that means.
I
Like
hate it.
I guess face
Like
whatever
you
you
get
need to
hurt,
face.
don't like be tough.
Yeah.
Like don't show it.
Yeah.
Don't acknowledge it.
Yeah, so I just found that so fascinating. So when I found this piece of information about the men maturity and the women maturing at different ages, there are thousands of articles out there about this particular topic.
Mhm.
And it got me wondering, where is this study? Can I find this study? Can I read who were they talking to? This was done in the UK. So I will say that I did do a little digging.
Please.
And-
Yes, I'm fascinated.
I couldn't find the specific study, but I did find one of the original sources, which was from a Huffington Post article from 2011. And it quoted that the new study was from the United Kingdom's Nickelodeon channel.
Nickelodeon?
Yes.
Like Nick at Night? Nickelodeon?
Like Nickelodeon.
what?
And so I have to say that I have to take this little piece of knowledge and give it a little caveat and say maybe there's some truth to this. I couldn't find all of the information about it, but the fact that it came from Nickelodeon, I was like, maybe they were doing like some kind of study about TV shows or something. Like at which age do men stop watching Nickelodeon? They were like, around 43.
That is wild.
But I will say I kind of agree with you.
And you know what? I just popped in my head. Do you think that it has anything to do with the fact that men have a lot more time to decide if they want a family or not than women?
As far as emotional maturity?
As far as just in
like
general,
biologically. Okay, so
biologically.
biologically
you can start a family if you're a man when you're 50.
or 90.
Yeah, or 90, but let's keep it in.
Yeah, I do feel like biologically, you know, there are childbearing years. They
Mhm.
tell it to us all the time. You're only born with
Hate
so
it.
many eggs.
Yes.
That's it. You don't keep making more.
So unfair.
Or like sperm, you can continually, they just keep making it over and over.
Make it over. It doesn't stop till you're 90.
Yeah.
Doesn't stop at any point.
Ever. So we have these childbearing years. And so maybe biologically we are created to mature faster in those ways. because we're made to be mothers.
Yeah.
Possibly.
You think so?
I don't know, but I do agree that men possibly emotionally mature later on in life. And maybe that's why when I was watching season 1, it was like some of the guys, it was like pulling teeth to get them to even talk about their emotions. I just applaud parents out there. If you're teaching your sons just like you're teaching your daughters to be emotionally available,
Amen.
to acknowledge how they're feeling,
Yes.
and then to be able to be given words on how to explain those emotions. You're doing the world a great service, honestly, because we just want mature men.
We just want mature men. We want aware men. We want men to be our partners, not a complete separate masculine feminine.
Yeah. And I will say, like, I have talked to you about this in the past about how me and my husband have kind of grown up together.
Yes.
And so I've seen his maturity level just change as he's gotten older. But I think if I were single right now, at this age,
Hello.
I don't know if I'd want to date somebody who isn't like meeting me on the same level as far as like emotional maturity. Yeah, I just don't know if I could do it.
I don't know if I want to either.
So can we talk about the cast members?
Please, I'm dying to talk.
So one of the first people that stuck out to me right from the get-go was Yoli and Xander. That whole relationship. So Yoli started off with Mal. Love Mal. Can I just say, I feel like we'd be best friends. If you're listening,
I feel like I get
can we
date
be
Mal.
friends?
I got date Mal.
I feel like actually she might be a good partner for you. Just saying.
Oh, hello. Hi, Mal. Welcome to our show. Let me drink to that.
She's blushing just a little bit.
I love her.
She was so sweet. Hang on, let me take a sip of wine. I need a drink of wine. Talk about this.
While you say that, I will just say that at the end, I just fast forward a little. She said she was embarrassed by her depiction on the show. And I was like, you look fantastic, honey.
I didn't think she's a wonder. So at the beginning of the show, they're meeting all these other people that are possible partners, right? And one of the things Mal had mentioned to Yoli right from the get-go is like, you fall easy. You fall hard and easy. Yes. And I was like, girl, I think you're overreacting. I was literally, because, I want them to succeed. And I was like, Yoli loves your ass. I don't know what you're talking about, Mal.
And I'm like,
I was like, calm down. Have a little faith. Have a little faith in your partner, okay?
That's some sure self-awareness there.
Absolute self-awareness. Because when Yoli and Xander got together, I was like, ooh. Oh.
That reaction is right.
Yeah. I could feel the sparks flying through my screen at me. It was incredible, the connection that they had right from the beginning. But here's my theory.
Yes.
Okay.
Tell me.
My theory is that Xander, in her relationship with Vanessa, there were so many things she wasn't getting in that relationship that she hoped for so badly. She wanted Vanessa to be the one. She wanted Vanessa to give her these things, and she wasn't getting them from her.
I feel like she's the Schwartz of this situation, Vanessa.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Possibly. But and then all of a sudden, Yoli's like, I got this. You want this? Oh, I'll give that to you. You want me to recognize your feelings? You want to plan a family? I want to plan a family. You want me to touch you and hold? I'm going to touch and I'm going to hold you. I'm going to give you all that special attention that she's been craving, that she's been wanting so badly. And here this person is like willing to give it to her.
That is so interesting.
I mean, imagine all the things in your past relationship if someone walked in and gave you all the things that you were looking for. Right there. It's right there.
I feel like I can relate to that certain experience from a couple years ago, which I've talked to you about before, about someone just coming into your life and giving you everything, and you just vulnerably really bond, even if, like in my case, I knew it was wrong.
The gut The pebbles.
The pebbles were there. Like, I knew it was wrong, but I was so in my, like, the romance that they were experiencing.
Imagine an infatuation and a physical connection. How can you possibly see clearly?
Yes, that's true. That's true.
I would be completely.
I was not seeing clearly, that's for sure.
So I feel like Yoli definitely got caught up, and it didn't matter that Mal was ready to do all those things that she wanted. It didn't end up being enough.
Yeah.
I think in the long run. If she was like, I'm sorry to do this, Xander's my person, I think they could have had a shot. If she had said, Xander, you're a wonderful human being, and she sort of did that, but she didn't actually.
She didn't actually,
though.
No, she kept the ties there.
She kept it there. She's like, just in case.
She's like calling her back when she's walking away.
So it was like she needed to be sure one way or the other, and I think it would have worked out better for her. But like, Yoli, I get it. Emotions are confusing.
Oh yeah,
it is difficult to see, and everyone's watching from the outside. We all got opinions about it, but we're not the ones actually living it.
We can relate.
Yeah, I think who I related to the most was actually Xander.
Xander, really?
Yeah.
I loved Xander too.
I felt like
two of my favorites.
Yeah, I felt like she was the one who gave the ultimatum. I could most identify with that. Like, okay, I'm ready for this. You ready? Are you ready? I'm ready for this. You ready? You ready? You ready? But she did it in such a loving and caring way, which is definitely my personality. I'm pushy, but not that pushy. You know?
Like, you bring the idea and this is what I want, but I'm not going to push you to it. Is that what you mean?
Yeah. It comes from a place of like, not impatience. It comes from a place of like excitement and being ready to be in the next step, because there's definitely a shift that happens when you're ready for a long-term partnership or to start a family. There's a place that you are in your life where you've got maybe the career going, and maybe you've got all the other things and the pieces in your life, and you're ready for that next step. You feel it. You feel like, and if you're unsure, it can be a difficult conversation to have with your partner if they're, not ready.
Yeah.
So
let me ask you, do you think that if Yoli were to have told Mal, we've been doing this for so long, because there is a thing, like, to her defense, we've been doing this for so long, like she kept saying, like, when you say, why now? What, and obviously they're on TV and they got the ultimatum, but it's like, Mal stepped it up and she did everything. But is this, she had a point to say, is this sustainable? So what?
True.
What would have happened if Yoli said yes to Xander?
I would have been really interested to find out. That's for sure. I like to think I understood what was happening between them based on my own life experience and watching the relationships of my friends and family over the years. I'd like to think it was just lust.
Just lust. Okay.
However, Xander is the type of person to give somebody 1,000% of her being in everything she does, I feel like. And she's so authentic. If Yoli had given her a yes that day, I think she would have tried 1,000%. But how do you go back from that? Yeah. I don't know how you go back from a rejection to trying to make it work. But I do think that if Yoli had told Mal, no, I cannot accept this engagement because I'm still unsure. Or if she said, Mal, we tried. My heart is pulling me in this direction.
I honestly feel like she just told Mal because of the time that they had invested already.
Yeah.
One last thing I will ask you about Xander and Yoli.
Okay.
Because it really resonates with me, like, the whole time I was watching them. What do you feel about knowing your person when you meet them? Because I feel like I know you say lust, which is true. But how does that compare to when you meet someone and you click, and when they say you know, because I believe in that.
Yes.
I do. I believe that is
It's true.
very
It
real.
happens.
Mm-hmm.
It's happened for me.
Yeah.
So absolutely.
So
It was
what
both.
is
It was a little like lust and like you just know it's just like so comfortable.
like
from the
that's
get-go.
my person.
Yeah.
So what?
She didn't trust herself enough to know that though.
So do you think you have to be single when you meet your person? What if you are? I know this is really messed up. I know, like
This is the perfect like. Okay, I hear what you're saying. Like, do you have to be single, or if you are in a relationship and
or a situation or on the breakups or whatever?
right? I hear what you're saying, but she's literally on a show that gave them an entire day to make a decision. Like,
yeah.
this was the chance to say, I'm going to pick somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
And Mal's prepared. Mal prepared herself for a no or a yes.
Yeah.
She was ready either way.
I think the most beautiful thing about Mal, whether it was sustainable or not, is her self-awareness and
Yeah.
her coming to and being so mature about whatever was like thrown at her
Yeah.
in the moment.
She was so calm. I know
I
she had
love
that
her.
little like moment in the hallway, but I was like, girl, you are so much calmer.
But she wasn't suppressing. She was
No.
acknowledging.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
Yeah. Applaud you, girl.
Yay.
Yay. Okay, so I do want to talk about Vanessa a little bit.
Oh, yes.
One of the most interesting people I have witnessed on The Ultimatum.
Agreed.
But you know who I found more interesting? Her dad.
Her dad.
Her dad was a character in and of itself. He was somebody that I was like,
He stole the show for the minute he was on.
oh my gosh, she was only on for like a total of 5 minutes
Yeah.
of editing time. But literally the things that he had to say were so interesting. And when he was speaking to his daughter, I could see her processing the words that he was saying. Here's one of the things he talked about marriage. And he'd been married several times, right? He acknowledged that and admitted that on the show. He said, you know, when people entered into marriage years ago, they didn't live that long.
Mm-hmm.
So when you married someone at 18 or 19 years old, you only maybe lived to 40. So you're committing to 20 years.
I've thought that for so long when it comes to baby making. Like,
Yeah.
people started making babies in their early 20s because they were going to die. When
Or
they were
16.
60. Yeah, because they were going to die soon.
Yeah.
But now, that's not the case.
No. So, and he was like, look, now if you get married in your 20s and you live to 85, that's a lot of years.
It's a long time.
It's like almost two lifetimes as it was 100 years ago.
Mhm.
2 lifetimes. Maybe we should think about marriage difference. This was his argument.
Mhm.
Maybe marriage should be more like a 7-year lease. You get married for 7 years. After the 7 years, you decide, do you stay together or do you renew the lease and do another 7 years? And I have to say, this is an interesting theory.
I love the 7-year thing. I could even do 5 years.
You could do 7. I mean, can you commit fully for 7 years? Anybody could probably do that.
Yeah.
If you're on the marriage boat. There's a lot of people in
Mhm.
the world who are very comfortable with just being on the partner boat and
Mhm.
never getting married and having a long-term partner. And
Yeah.
that's okay too.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think about Vanessa? I know she got a lot of flack about the way that she was portrayed on the show. What did you think about that?
I mean, I think that's a perfect example of someone being emotionally immature for me.
Okay.
I felt like she was vulnerable, and at some points I was like, yes, Vanessa, you're speaking your heart and you're being there. So I definitely think this show made her grow, because I do see the difference of her from the beginning of the show to the end of the show.
Mhm.
I do think there was a lot of growth there. I don't think she was prompted to grow before,
Right.
even though
It,
she has
forced her.
It forced her, even though like her dad seems pretty woke to
Yeah.
me. And
Totally woke.
I was really happy when he brought up, because the first thing I thought of when she was all of a sudden hell-bent on getting Xander back was,
Yeah.
I'm like, girl, this is your ego talking.
Yeah.
This is just
And
your
it's something
ego.
he said. He
He
pointed
did.
it out, and her face kind of almost looked like, oh, I got caught.
Yeah, and then she was like, no, I know this is what I want. But I'm
Yeah.
like, you don't even take the time to process what he's saying.
Yeah.
I definitely think he was ego-driven.
Yeah.
Maybe it changed later.
So I have a different view about
Mhm.
Vanessa. I felt like she's a fun personality. First
Yeah.
of all, she was like super fun to watch.
Yeah.
Really interesting.
Yeah.
Somebody who I think went into this experience not with a heavy heart. She went in this she came in like, this is going to be another experience I can chalk up in my life as, wow, I'm on a reality show with my best friend and my partner who I absolutely love. And I'm not sure if I want to get married. I'm not sure if it's on my radar right now. And so when you enter into that situation and everybody around you is super serious, she just got caught in the mug. Like her head snapped back like, oh shit. She was like, Are we still having fun, guys? I am on a show where I am supposed to be flirting, where I am supposed to be having this experience and opening myself up to meeting someone. And then everyone's like, what are you doing? This should be serious.
She thought she was on Love Island.
Wrong show, boo.
Wrong show, boo.
This is the ultimatum. So my heart went out to her a little bit because I actually do think she was emotionally mature. I just think she was on a different show. And then all of a sudden, when they sat down at that dinner and Yoli started talking about Xander in a romantic way, her face,
she panicked.
She realized at that moment, I could lose this person.
Does it make you emotionally mature, though, to not have heard your partner this entire time unless you're put on this on this platform that makes your ego tone down and be like, oh, this is real. Like what you're saying, I could lose this partner.
Does it make her emotionally immature?
Or does it, or either or. Like what does it mean for her to, like, for Xander, if she's accurate in what she's saying, that she's told Vanessa, like, I want this. They were together for 4 years.
Yeah, 4 years is a long time.
For Xander, and Xander seems very kind and vulnerable and like expresses herself.
She did on the show. I don't know if she expressed herself quite as clearly or concisely about what she wanted until the show.
Yeah.
So who's to say
that's
how deep the conversations were?
If it's accurate and she has been telling Vanessa,
right,
then it took the show for maybe Vanessa's ego or maturity to level up, and
could be
in that sense.
And you know what? Without this show, it's possible that Xander and Vanessa could have spent another 3 years doing this dance and then ended it at year 7, because that they have the 7-year itch thing. It's a thing.
I think it's true.
It happens. It's true.
I think so. Happened to me.
They saved an extra 3 years going through this process and Xander. I think it helped Xander too, because she realized what she's willing to put up with and what she's not.
Yeah.
So I think it did them both a good service to be on the show. I think so. I think, Vanessa, I wish you well. Xander, Yoli, I know you guys are probably out there living your best lives. And I am rooting for you to find love, of course, as always. Is there anybody else that you wanted to talk about?
Sam really took me for a spin.
Sam or Aussie?
Oh, which one is Aussie? Aussie.
Okay, so
the one that kept leaving. Aussie. I'm sorry, Sam. You were so lovely, and I watched your growth. Yeah. Speaking your word, but
oh my gosh, I loved her. I loved watching her find her voice.
Oh, that was beautiful.
It was so moving. Yes. It was like, oh, I wish everyone could find that kind of strength. It was like, I love you and I care for you, but I'm not going to put your feelings above my own feelings, because I have to take care of me too. That's what I got from her.
That was a beautiful experience for her to go through that with Tiff, someone who's also very outspoken.
Oh, absolutely.
And for her to have to like talk above
the Tiff tantrums. That's what I called them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like, oh, Tiff's having a tantrum.
Yeah.
It's okay, Tiff.
It's okay, Tiff. Yeah.
Yeah. But you're working through it and you're recognizing it, and that's the most important part.
That was awesome to watch her and then come back to Aussie.
I found that Aussie's behavior, I definitely recognized it in some people that I know in my life, for sure.
Same.
It seems like her emotional, because she did talk about being a kid and the arguments in her household and the kind of structure and how controlling and traditional of a household she was raised in.
Which makes sense.
Yeah, they are not out to their family. It seems like the minute she was confronted with hard questions, or even the questions weren't even necessarily that hard. It was just like, let's discuss how I'm feeling. Even somebody else's emotions made her uncomfortable.
Just complete, like,
shut down. Can't deal with it. Gotta move on. what a beautiful way to wrap to see that proposal. But do you remember the proposal?
I just watched it and I really don't.
Remember,
Oh,
she
the
took
rock?
the rock.
The rock, yeah.
I was like,
But why though? I don't care how cute that is. I don't do that.
And I imagine that Aussie, she did so much growing on that show, and it was really so interesting to watch. And I felt like such a privileged person to be let in on somebody who wasn't that comfortable in front of the camera.
She kept taking off her microphone,
Yeah,
throwing
she was
it.
not like comfortable. Like some people took to this process like ducks to water, and she was like not a duck, not floating, not comfortable,
Just drowning.
Yes, somebody save Aussie. Yeah. And you know who was her flotation device? Sam.
Oh, yes.
was always her
yes,
raft.
yes,
But she was like,
yes.
look, I cannot save you. You have to save yourself. You have to be your own flotation device. You have to be able to work through these feelings because I can't be the one to calm you down all the time. It's
And she had been
exhausting.
doing that.
Yes.
Their whole time.
The whole time.
They relied on that so deeply.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think she is a really beautiful depiction of what it means to have unconditional love for someone.
Yeah.
The way Sam has for Aussie. Because
Yeah.
everything that Aussie does, like even when Sam found her voice, she just had so much love in her for Aussie that it was so apparent.
Yeah.
Whether they get married,
I
or
don't know.
not,
Actually, I
but-
haven't checked up on them to see if they're. I think they're still. Like I said, I'm a hopeful. I'm a hopeless romantic, and so I'm hoping that eventually Aussie comes out to her family, and they are so accepting and loving of Sam, and they have an amazing wedding, and so
Yeah.
I just wish you guys all the best.
What I will wrap up this episode with is one thing I had trouble listening to
Okay.
was Mildred. As a Latina myself, with a heavy, heavy Latin family,
Right.
was Mildred condoning the talking above Latin culture that we have. We all know about it, but I say that should not be embraced. I myself work against the whole
breaking that.
part of our culture. Like, it's not okay to speak over someone, interrupt someone, be loud. Like, for me.
Yeah, my feelings are more important than yours. Or,
Yes, just everyone screaming, and
Yeah.
like she made it as like this, I'm just a Latina over and over and over, and I'm not a fan of that.
I can see how that would bother you.
Yeah. Well, so close to home.
That was an interesting relationship, definitely, those two. I'm glad that they're not together. I don't think it was healthy for either of them.
Yeah.
Of all the couples, that was the couple that I was like,
Probably not gonna work.
Yeah, they just have so much growth to do on themselves, and like ultimately you want to be happy.
Yes.
You want
that
your
was
partner to be happy, and it's so easy. Like when you're with the person you're supposed to be with, it's so easy to want to make them happy, you know? And the
Yeah.
things that they're asking of you won't feel like a chore. It won't feel like work.
I have to
because-
compromise myself completely to give you
Yeah, exactly. I had so much fun talking about this episode.
This is great.
I just noticed though, like both of us
are done. We are
Empty.
dry.
we have done dried this glass.
It's not fun to be dry.
So we must fill our glasses so we can do our toast for the end of the episode.
Oops.
I love dating show Roundup. I think we should do it again.
I definitely think we should.
There are so many shows out there that I love watching because I love watching love.
And I love analyzing it.
I would like to make a toast to all of the cast members of Vanderpump Rules and The Ultimatum. We are so blessed to be able to learn from all the things that you do right and all the things that you're still learning how to do right.
Yes.
Mistakes make us stronger. We wish you all the best because I want you to find love.
And I want to cheers to all of you listening. If you found growth in the episodes and with us, DM us, find us at Corks and Confessions on Instagram and TikTok, and tell us your stories. Tell us
Yes.
what you've learned and what you're going through so we can learn some more.
To Bad Bitches in Progress.
Bad bitches in progress. Cheers. Amen.